Welcome back, Hip Politics family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's your boy, Mr. Cameron Calvin, a.k.a. Mr. Hip Politics, a.k.a. Did I see you last week? We have another wonderful episode. I just saw a really amazing performance by one of the legends and icons in this thing we call hip-hop. We have with us the one and only Dr. Yolanda Whitaker, that everybody may know as Yo-Yo. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
You killed the stage.
Hey, period.
Did it?
Smash.
And then, real quick, I did notice, I like how you came back for the encore, because I'm like, hold up, she didn't do her biggest single. And I know DJ Heat, she's done a bunch of parties and events for me over the years in D.C., and so I was like, I like how you came back with that.
I love it, yeah.
I was like, you needed that.
The energy was so amazing in that room. I mean, just the colors of the room, the vibe of the room, I mean, just took me up. And sometimes rooms do that, but sometimes they don't, and I just push through. But for some reason, the room pushed me.
No, it was. I mean, it was a lot of love.
Yeah,
it was a lot of love.
I felt every bit of it.
And you came out, touched the crowd. It was good.
Yeah,
You
always love
still rocking stages.
Hey.
Never stopped. Well, here at Hip Politics, as we're in 50+1. Last year marked the 50th anniversary of hip hop, but that doesn't mean we don't stop celebrating. That don't mean we don't stop looking. It's we're 50+1 now, and you have been around for years and had so many iconic moments, but also been connected to so many different people in the game, and are part of that West Coast surgence, like when the West Coast really took it over, and being able to, like I said, being connected and signed by Ice Cube, like rocking stages with Tupac and Digital Underground. I mean, you got the best verse on Brandy's "I Want to Be Down" remix. So it's so many different moments. Like, what is it that I'm pretty sure as we've gone through this big reflection over the last year, and now we look toward the next 50 years of hip hop, what are some of the things that you've been filled with over this last year that really have struck you about the celebration and understanding and your place in hip hop?
I mean, some of the things that have struck me really is just the notoriety of artists who have been overlooked. It's really and it's also the bridge. I mean, bridging artists together. I think, for so long, I just think the connection it's more universal when it comes to, the way we've celebrated this 50 towns and states who wasn't really with it, began to appreciate it a lot more, and recognizing the artists that came out of their town and giving them recognition. And that's important because, starting out, it was just all about the East Coast, and then it became about the West Coast and down South. So I just think the recognition alone has given hip-hop a bigger and more universal platform, and more recognition than people were willing to give it before. Which is important because, hip-hop is politics, hip-hop is community, hip-hop is, it's everything. I mean, you can't do anything and celebrate 50 years of hip-hop and not have a love for it in some form or shape. I mean, even the suburbs, even no matter who, what school your kid went to, or, no matter who you loved, the older we get, the more we really pull out those old tapes and say, hey, listen, I want to listen to some Rakim right now. I just loved it. I don't care if you're a pediatrician, you want to hear Rakim today. So it's just finding the love for it. I mean, the fact that it never really went away, and that people of this generation today is really finding love for it the way we did when we first started.
I can see like I said, seeing you on stage, the love really shined through. One moment specifically around that, we are also here in Women's History Month. Yeah. And when I think about the place of women in hip hop over the years, there's obviously been a huge, I don't want to say resurgence as if they've ever, women have ever gone away out of hip hop, but I mean now, when you have some of, I feel like every month, every 2 months, it's a new different female woman rapper, but there I feel like there have been key moments throughout the history of hip hop where women really stood up and kind of banded together for some iconic tracks, and I feel like you were on one of those. Yeah. With Brandy's "I Want to Be Down," which is one of her biggest hits, and then completely flipped the beat, and then you, like I said, you have a verse on there. One of the folks that come together on the verse on there. Can you tell me about Have you ever performed that and like really felt that energy with the entire group before?
Well, we are on tour right now with Queen Latifah. Queen Latifah's out on the road. We just did Orlando, Universal Studios, Orlando. We got on stage. I mean, killed it. The energy is always fire. I mean, that unity alone is just. I mean, it's really like I'm performing with my sisters. I feel it every time I'm on stage. I always, every time I grace the stage, I have so much love to give. And when I'm with Queen, Light, Brandy, Moni, I mean, it's really like sister love. We grew up together really from 17 to the age that we are now. So it's really genuine, and they know me. They know Yo-Yo gonna get up there and shake her ass and run across that stage. It's nothing, you know what I mean? They know that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna bring the energy, and they look forward to it. I know Light, and I know Moni's gonna be the clown. She gonna do all the hip hop moves. And I know Queen gonna hype us up.
Yeah, and I feel
Queen's gonna hype it all up. Queen gonna give you a little bit, but she gonna hype it like, come on, give me, So it's the whole vibe of
the tone, the tempo, the beat, the lyrics. It still feels so in pocket like today. When you as soon as that beat drops, you're like, oh, okay, I know exactly.
And we all rap each other's part.
No.
We all rap each other's part. It's so funny when Queen was doing the rehearsal, I missed the rehearsal, so she sent me a demo. And the whole time she's rapping it. She's rapping the whole part. And I said, well, I like the way you say it. Why don't we switch verses? So it's so dope to, just to know that we have that kind of love for each other. And it really shows.
Switching gears a little bit, like I said, this is the Hip Politics podcast and platform. Second word being politics, in a very broad sense of the term, but very specifically, you've also had another iconic political moment for hip hop where you really stood up for hip hop. Can you take me back to, I believe it was at 94?
94, yeah.
94?
1994.
Where you testified in the U.S. Senate?
Yes.
At the time, for
Flew
listeners.
on the Air Force One.
Yep. At the time, for listeners, we were going through, like, hip hop, I would say, quite frankly, was under attack as a newer art form, and people were trying to censor it, and you may
Delores
have seen Delores Tucker like stomping on some CDs outside of Capitol Hill and going against Tupac and so forth. But you stood up on behalf of hip hop there. Tell me what that was like, especially because at that stage and age, both at that age and stage of life and in your career, to be able to look these senators, some of the most powerful politicians in the face, and tell them like, no, hip hop is here to stay, and like, you guys don't need to ban it, don't need to censor it. Can you tell me more about that?
I was 22
experience?
years old. I had just had my first child. 23 years old. I had just had my first child. My daughter was about maybe 2 months old, 2 or 3 months old. We flew to D.C. I introduced Congresswoman Waters to a lot of the artists, Tupac in particular, Snoop Dogg. She wanted to meet a lot of these artists. She wanted to have one-on-one conversations with them. And I introduced them to her. I introduced them to her. We talked about, we sat and we spoke many nights, many days, about music, about the industry, just insight on what was going on. And I wanted to speak. I wanted to talk about hip hop. I just felt like, I was asked, first of all, and I just wanted to speak on it. And not really knowing what I wanted to speak on. I think the more and more I worked on my speech of what I was going to say, I just knew that as a young girl in music, that I didn't want to be censored. I was just thinking of me in particular. I wasn't thinking about the music industry when I was writing. I was just thinking about my community. I was thinking about the fact that we did have a voice. And at that time, there was a lot going on in South Central Los Angeles at that time. So we had a horrible feud with the police department. I mean,
Yeah.
at that time we had,
You all were the voice of that. The West Coast was really, I think,
we
a
had
huge
these
voice of that.
battle rams. I mean, we had these machines going into the urban community and bashing their homes in, sometimes the wrong homes, and shooting into these homes in what they call the projects. And so to me it was different because NWA, which they wanted to ban, was just the voice of our community. So it was like, how can you ban the voice of our community when no one wants to recognize what's going on in our community? So it was very personal for me why I loved music, and not on a national level. I mean, I didn't realize I was speaking for other communities at that time. I was 23 years old. But I just knew that my community, we understood the language.
Understood the language, understood the people. You were the
Yeah,
people. You were
exactly.
that. But I mean, I commend you like I said, looking back at the pivotal points of as hip hop has evolved.
Yeah.
We always say in the voter campaign world, 50 years old is what we call a high propensity voter. That's the person. That's the time when you can really count on voters. But now, as hip hop has grown as 50, and all the different places that like you were pivotal
Yeah.
in that point, and now to go from testifying at the Senate to defend hip hop and defend it against censorship to now you have the highest ranking African American man, Hakeem Jeffries, out of New York, quoting Biggie lyrics from the
Yes.
floor of the House,
Ooh, don't you
and
love it?
keeping it relevantly keeping that to make these arguments, like just to see the evolution of hip hop even in politics, like to
And
have
to see it in education also. I remember when there was, this big thing with cultural competency where the professors couldn't really relate to the students anymore. And no matter who the students were, there was just this discord. Before they started having artists, inside of the classrooms and working, there was just, there was no way you can really connect. I mean, hip hop was everywhere, and the world needed to catch up, not just to hip hop, but just to the people. There was a big disconnect. So, even me going into the schools and with hip hop literacy and really connecting to the students all over again on a whole nother level. I mean, the fact that I have a hip hop literacy class where I teach kids how to turn sentences into paragraphs, paragraphs into essays, which is like an English class. I teach them how to write essays in 45 minutes, doing something that teachers can't do in a whole semester, because we have learned that we are different in the way we are introducing things to our community. And so I think that in all forms of learning, all forms of community, all forms in politics, speaking, I mean, if you're not touching them, you're not touching them. And so people are finding ways to connect. There's no way you can really trick them. I mean, these kids are smarter than the average bear, especially
Yeah.
nowadays.
Well, in closing, we know about your music career. Like, as if people see this on camera, I'm pointing to all the different accolades and movies. I mean, you were in, boy, that's gonna come in post. That's gonna come in post. But I mean, Boys in the Hood. Like, there's just so much you've done. But outside the music, outside the movies and TV and all that, like, what else what have you been really proud of in terms of being able to use your platform? Like, hip hop is a platform.
Yeah.
It is a translator.
Yes.
It reaches so many different people across generations. What have you been doing, I guess, in now or in recent years? You talked about the hip hop literacy.
Yes.
Maybe either expand on that or some of the other either charities or things you're doing in the
I've been
community.
able to travel the world 100 times in communities. I've been able to meet kids who've never known what I've done in music, never seen me in television, but I've been able to be a guest in their classroom. I've been able to talk about who I am. I've been able to teach them things that I've learned. I have a school of hip hop I've been able to give scholarships to people who love music. I've been able to bring people into my school and teach high quality dance, theater. I've been able to put them in contact with a lot of relationships that I've built over the years, a lot of resources that I have. I've been able to use my power. I've been able to, I've been able to gangster my way through this lifestyle thanks to hip hop and with the love and the relationships that I've built. I mean, from my integrity, from people knowing me, for what I stand on. I've been able to go into rooms that I wouldn't have been able to go in had, hip hop not given me the platform to do it.
Well, that platform is huge, and like I said, we all.
Yeah, I've been able to fight for people. I've been able to fight for women's rights. I've been able to talk, go into offices and help women get back their children who's been taken away from them. I've been able to give women strength in areas where the community has made them weak. I've been able to bring powerful people to the table and to talk about I've been able to gather groups to march outside of buildings, and I've been able to do a lot with my platform.
That you have, and thank you for joining and offering, sharing your platform with our platform.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We thank you. Like I said, it's when you're in the presence of a legend. But like I said, and I don't mean to say that in the past tense, because you're in the current tense. Like you saw that room, room I just saw, those girls
bigger
that
better.
just. I mean, we had two little.
Wasn't that cute?
Oh my gosh! And they had your whole career and your history right there and performing. Like, so, just to see that every single generation you're touching.
Yeah.
I hope you stay encouraged.
Yeah, thank you.
Continue to push forward. Enjoy, and to our listeners, thank you again, and we're out. Peace.
It's me, the brand new intelligent black woman, YO, which is Yo. Make sure you check out Hip Politics Podcast.